Iran has taken steps towards actual formalization of control of the Strait of Hormuz. And this has taken place because Iran has established the Persian Gulf Strait Authority, which is a body they intend to use to manage and control the movement of oil and gas cargo and vessels through the Strait of Hormuz. And this is an interesting development coming at a time when there are still conversations going on and negotiations with the United States, which seems not to be working. And it is a step that shows intent. It's clear that Iran wants to be the ones controlling the Strait of Hormuz. And of course, the Strait of Hormuz is not entirely owned by a single country. It has multiple countries that actually, at different times when the vessel is going through the Strait of Hormuz, it goes through different territories. And the reason why Iran can be able to probably make this particular decision or make this particular move is because at its narrowest, most of the ships actually go closer or use the waters that sit in the Iranian territory. But this is actually a very big move when you consider the importance of the Strait of Hormuz when it comes to the oil and gas industry. With an estimated 20% of the global daily needs when it comes to the oil and gas resources passing through the Strait of Hormuz, because most of it is coming from the Persian Gulf, it becomes a very important thing when you consider that one country wants to control that particular route. And it is something that probably is going to reshape the oil and gas industry. It's going to make a lot of countries, especially in that region, start thinking of alternative routes. And I know we already know that there exist alternative routes, only that they cannot be able to probably, have enough oil and gas resources passing through them. So there will be investments going to the future because many countries have realized that having all your energy needs or oil and gas needs or even exports pass through the Strait of Hormuz is not necessarily a very smart move in the long term. If this is the first time that you and I are meeting, I am Joe, and on this YouTube channel, I talk about oil and gas, and particularly the upstream oil and gas sector. And to further help you if you are interested in getting into this particular sector, I have a newsletter that I'm going to link in the description below, where you can be getting more insights, more ideas, and more business opportunities that you can be able to tap into when it comes to the upstream oil and gas value chain. Iran has clearly demonstrated that it can disrupt the flow of oil and gas resources through the Strait of Hormuz, and not necessarily because it is stopping you from, going through the strait. It's just that the risks are a little bit high, and most vessels may not be willing to take that risk. While it is not clear what this new body, what this new, Persian Gulf Strait Authority will be doing, at least we can be sure that they might be the ones who will manage the flow of the oil and gas vessels across the strait. And more importantly, they might be the body that will be collecting the $2 million fees that Iran has been asking to allow the ships to pass through. And that becomes an additional cost to the operators that move oil and gas resources. And then it becomes a cost that is going to be passed to you as a consumer of petroleum products, especially in countries where you are a net importer of the petroleum products. So this is something that is going to affect a lot of people directly as well as indirectly, and it is important to be aware of what is going on in that particular region, and in particular with regard to the Strait of Hormuz. Now, having said that and realizing what Iran is doing when it comes to the establishment of this particular body, it is also important to see it in the larger context of the conflict that they have with the United States. Because if you ask me, I think this is more of a message to the United States. Is a sort of, digging deeper or making their stand a little bit known when it comes to the negotiations and the conversation that they are having. That while there's still not a solution in terms of reopening of the Strait of Hormuz, Iran is going ahead and setting themselves a body that will control this particular state. While we all know that the United States is actually against Iran controlling the Strait of Hormuz. And in fact, many countries in the Persian region and probably also others outside of that particular region are not really supportive of Iran controlling the Strait of Hormuz, because they all know what that would mean in the short term as well as in the long term when it comes to the movement of crude oil and LNG resources from the Persian Gulf into the world. The good news is that there still is hope that there will be a peace deal negotiated and signed when it comes to the conflict in the Middle East. And I think one of the items that have been mentioned when it comes to this peace deal with the United States on one side and Israel and Iran on the other is that the Strait of Hormuz is going to be reopened without any conditions. But of course that remains to be seen, because this is a very fluid situation. And I think while many people in the market would want it reopened, nobody knows for a certain when that is going to happen. And I think I saw someone mention, and I think I would agree with that person, that business leaders, countries, and anyone who is actually involved in the oil and gas industry or oil and gas sector should actually factor in the possibility that this conflict might go longer than many people had actually expected or many people had predicted. And that's a real possibility, because if there's no deal that comes out soon, then it means the conflict and the issue will continue for as long as that particular issue is not sorted. And probably that is what also Iran is kind of indicating by setting up this particular authority. It is more or less sending a message to Washington that they do not mind having a prolonged conflict, because at least they are making money from it. They're generating an income by actually charging transit fees for the vessels that are passing through the Strait of Hormuz. But of course, that is coming at a very high cost to the market because of the disruption that it has caused and the risks that are involved when it comes to moving of oil and gas resources through the Strait of Hormuz. The Strait of Hormuz is a very important choke point when it comes to the oil and gas industry in the world. And it is something that is strategic, and I think Iran have realized that they can be able to leverage the closure or the disruption of the Strait of Hormuz to continue with the ongoing conflict or to prolong the conflict, while they also try to get a better deal from the United States. And it is important for you to actually be aware of these geopolitical happenings that are taking place, and also be able to understand what it means when you have this kind of situation emerging and being part of what now is the new normal when it comes to the movement of the oil and gas resources. And this is going to be it from me in this particular video. And if you want to learn more about what is going on in the Middle East and about the Strait of Hormuz, watch the video on your screen right now. Subscribe to this YouTube channel if you have not, and I'm going to see you in my next video.